Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving headfirst into, well, let's be honest, it can feel like a monster.
Yeah.
Decentralized finance, DeFi, and specifically we're looking at the big one, Uniswap. You've probably heard all the letters, right? DEX, AM, LPs.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So our mission today is simple. Cut through that noise. What is Uniswap, really? And maybe more importantly, what does it mean for you? We want to make sense of why it keeps evolving and setting the pace.
Yeah, it's crucial we tackle this one. Uniswap isn't just, a player. It's really the benchmark. It's the biggest decentralized exchange, the main DEX out there. Runs on Ethereum, obviously, but it's also across, 15 plus other networks now, Arbitrum, Base, Polygon, the big ones. And what's really striking is how quickly it became trusted infrastructure. You get instant access, deep liquidity for literally thousands of tokens. Millions of wallets have used it. It's pretty foundational stuff at this point.
Okay, so let's rewind a bit. Before Uniswap and this whole automated market maker or AMM idea came along, what was actually wrong with how people traded crypto back then?
Well, the main problems were tied up with the traditional centralized exchanges, the CEXs. You had issues like high costs, things felt kind of clunky, inefficient, and liquidity, especially for smaller or newer coins, could be really thin. Hard to trade without moving the price a lot. But the biggest thing, maybe philosophically, was trust. You had to give your crypto to the exchange, deposit your funds into their custody.
Right, and that creates a single point of failure, doesn't it? Hacks, censorship.
Exactly, you're vulnerable. Uniswap's AMM model just bypasses that. You trade directly from your own wallet. No middleman holding your funds. It creates this open, permissionless market that's much harder to censor or control.
Okay, so if the old way, the CEX, is like going up to a bank teller, we need a simple picture for Uniswap. What's the analogy?
I like thinking of Uniswap as a kind of high-tech, self-regulating vending machine.
A vending machine. Okay, I can picture that. Self-regulating, though. So who's setting the prices and who stocks the machine?
Good questions. So the machine itself is the smart contract, the code. It automatically figures out the exchange rate based on how many of each token are in the machine, in the pool. And the stockers, those are the users. They're called liquidity providers or LPs. They put their tokens into these pools, stocking the machine, and then they earn a small commission, a fee, whenever someone uses that machine, that tool, to make a trade. The main goal is just simple, efficient trading without needing to trust anyone else with your coins. Non-custodial. You interact with the code, the pool, directly from your wallet. Your assets never leave your control during the trade itself.
Okay, that makes sense. But the vending machine hasn't stayed the same, has it? Uniswap keeps upgrading, pushing for more efficiency. Let's talk about V3, because that seems like it was a really big leap.
Oh, V3 was huge. A revolution, really, back in 2021. See, before V3, if you were an LP, you had to provide liquidity across the entire possible price range, like from 0 to infinity, basically.
It sounds incredibly inefficient.
Hugely. Most of your capital was just sitting there, unused, because the price wasn't anywhere near those extremes. Z3 introduced concentrated liquidity. This let LPs say, okay, I think the price of ETH is mostly going to trade between, say, $3,000 and $3,500, and they could put all their capital just in that specific range.
And the efficiency gains were meant to be enormous, right? I remember seeing some crazy numbers.
Yeah, the headline number was up to 4,000 times more capital efficient compared to V2. Now, that's a bit abstract, maybe.
Right. What does 4,000x actually mean for me if I'm just swapping tokens?
It means LPs can provide the same amount of actual trading liquidity, the depth, right around the current price, with way less capital, or provide much deeper liquidity with the same capital. For you, the trader, that translates directly into tighter spreads of difference between buy and sell prices and less slippage. So better prices when you trade. The liquidity is concentrated where the action actually happens.
Okay, so V3 sounds incredibly efficient. Why mess with it? Why the need for a whole new architecture with V4, which launched early 2025? What was still missing?
V3 was efficient, yes, but it was also quite rigid. Each trading pair, each pool, was its own separate smart contract. Doing anything complex, like multi-pool swaps, got expensive in terms of gas fees. V4 was about making the whole thing more modular, flexible, and cheaper to build on top of. Two really big things came with V4. First, the singleton architecture.
Templeton.
Yeah, instead of thousands of separate pool contracts, almost all the liquidity is held within one central core contract. This simple change slashed the cost of deploying a new liquidity pool by something like 99%.
Wow, okay. So much easier for new projects to get listed.
Exactly. Lower barrier to entry. And the second big piece was hooks.
Hooks, like Plugins.
Kind of, yeah. Think of them as custom pieces of code that developers can hook into the pool's lifecycle at different points, before a swap, after a swap, etc. So you could create pools with dynamic fees that adjust based on market volatility, or build limit orders directly on chain, or integrate specific Oracle price feeds. It basically turns Uniswap from just an exchange into more of a customizable platform, almost like a DeFi operating system.
And while V4 was rethinking the architecture, they also dropped Uniswap X towards the end of 2025. That seems much more focused on just getting the user the absolute best price
Right.
and making it smoother.
Precisely. Uniswap X is different. It's more of an auction-based system. It takes your desired trade and basically shops it around to find the best possible execution price across various liquidity sources. Could be Uniswap pools, could be other DEX, could be private market makers. It brings two massive benefits for the user. One, potentially gas-free swaps for standard ERC20 tokens.
Gas-free. How does that work? Who pays the gas?
The entity that successfully wins the auction to fill your order pays the network gas fee. They factor that cost into the price they offer you, but for you, the user experience feels gasless. And the second key benefit, it offers protection against MEV attacks.
Okay, quickly, MEV, maximal extractable value. Remind us what that is in simple terms.
Yeah, MEV is basically, think of miners or validators on the blockchain seeing your transaction waiting to be processed. They can sometimes rearrange transactions or insert their own right before yours to capture a bit of value from your trade, like front-running you.
Okay, so they sort of sandwich your trade to make a profit off the price movement you cause.
Exactly. Uniswap X, by using this off-chain auction and aggregation system, helps shield your order from that kind of manipulation before it even hits the public mempool in the same way. Better prices, less manipulation.
Okay, so we've got V3's efficiency, V4's modularity and cost savings, Uniswap X's smart routing, and gasless swaps. If we bring all that together, what does it practically mean for me? Just trying to trade some tokens. What's the bottom line?
Lower costs and better access, fundamentally. V4's internal accounting system, this flash accounting, really cuts down gas usage, especially if you're doing more complex swaps involving multiple steps. And remember, trading actual ETH. V4 makes trading native ETH directly about 15% cheaper because you don't need to wrap it into ETH first anymore.
Right, that extra step of turning ETH into an ERC20 token just disappears.
Yeah.
Saves a transaction, saves gas.
Exactly. And then there's just the sheer scale and reliability.
Yeah, the market share is huge.
It's dominant, roughly 55% market share across DEXs. When you trade on Uniswap, you're plugging into enormous liquidity pools. We're talking over 3.387 trillion with a T in cumulative volume processed. Over 6.3 million unique wallets have interacted with it. And it's not just retail. Big institutions trust this now. You had clients of major custodians like Fireblocks putting over $6 billion onto the protocol before they even had a formal partnership. When you see federally registered crypto banks integrating to give their massive institutional clients access, well, that tells you something. It's become core financial infrastructure.
But anything this big, this integrated, must come with significant risks, right? What should listeners be aware of? What are the clouds on the horizon?
Definitely. The risks kind of fall into three buckets right now. And the first one is, frankly, the biggest worry, regulatory pressure.
The SEC.
The SEC, Uniswap Labs, got a Wells notice back in May 2024. And a Wells notice isn't just a friendly chat. It signals that the SEC staff intend to recommend enforcement action. This creates huge uncertainty. Is the UNI token a security? What will happen to the protocol's operations, especially in the US? It's a major overhang.
Okay, that's number one. What else?
Second is technical risk. Look, V4's architecture with hooks is powerful, incredibly flexible, but flexibility and complexity also mean a larger potential attack surface.
More things that could potentially go wrong.
You're right. Now, they've thrown huge resources at security, 9 independent audits, big bug bounties, but complex code always carries inherent risk. You can never be 100% certain. And the third area is around governance centralization. The whole idea is decentralized governance via the UNI token, right? But the reality, well, it's a bit skewed.
How so?
Reports suggest that the top 1% of UNI holders control something like 47.5% of the voting power. That's not very decentralized.
Yeah, that's quite concentrated.
Plus, actual participation in voting is generally quite low. Often less than 10% of the total UNI supply even bothers to vote on proposals. So, is it truly community governed? It's an ongoing question.
Talking about governance and centralization risks. Actually feels like a good place to pause for a moment.
It does. And maybe a good time to mention, if you're finding this breakdown helpful, how we try to take these complex crypto projects and make them, well, simpler, and you want more deep dives like this one, make sure you subscribe to our channel, CryptoBox. We do the digging so you don't have to.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. To summarize Uniswap, it's really the bedrock infrastructure of DeFi. It keeps pushing the envelope with innovations. V3's concentrated liquidity was huge, V4 brought modularity and cost savings with singleton and hooks, and Uniswap X aims for gas-free optimal pricing. And despite facing some serious regulatory challenges, it still dominates the market.
And if you want to connect that to the bigger picture, the real tension to watch with Uniswap is this. You have a protocol fundamentally designed for decentralization, for community governance, through its token, the UNI token. But how does that survive the intense pressure from centralized regulators, especially now that holding and actively using the UNI token in governance comes with direct financial rewards?
Ah, right, the fee switch discussion.
Exactly. Once you tie economic incentives directly to governance participation, does that push it further towards centralization, or can it truly remain decentralized under that regulatory scrutiny, that delicate balance? That's really the core question to keep mulling over as Uniswap evolves.
Fascinating stuff. Thanks for diving deep with us today. We really hope you feel better informed about this giant of DeFi.